This is a red potato, and with most potatoes, if you are waiting to cook these potatoes any longer than like 20 minutes, you need to put them in water so they don't get weird, so they don't get black. Okay, if you didn't know that, that's a pretty big deal, because it will show up. So these potatoes are just cubed and been soaking in water. A lot of this has actually given up a lot of its starches at the same time. I'm going to cut a potato. Show you how to cut a potato. These are red potatoes, skin on, and so I always, even when I'm cubing stuff, I always make a flat face down on the cutting board so there's nothing rolling around. So I keep turning them and cutting. Again, try not to have it roll around on you. All right, that's good. So that's how to cut a potato. Anyone have a better way of cutting a potato? Anybody have a better way? Okay. All right. So if you're following along, this is like I said, this is a super simple recipe, and it makes a beautiful lighter chowder. The pan is hot. I'm going to go ahead and put the potatoes in. We're using a pan instead of a pot. It cooks faster in this pan than it does in the pot. And these are basically going to steam. This is the broccoli. Because usually this recipe serves 4, but since there are many, many of us, I've made it to serve more. Trash bowl. So I cut more. Now downstairs, there is, in the produce department, there are wonderful broccoli crowns that are already, the stalks are already cut off of them, and they're just the crowns, and they're wonderful. You can also even make your job simpler by just getting the florets that are in bags. Super, super simple. This recipe, like I said, really simple. You put the onions, you put the broccoli, you put the potatoes all in a pan. You add the chicken stock. This is 3/4 cup chicken stock. I'll probably add a little more since I've made the whole batch now. And I have some water boiling here for later, but I'm going to use it right now as well. So it'll hurry up kind of hurry up the cooking process. It's always a good idea to have a pot of water boiling when you're cooking for stuff just like this. And I've used this concentrated chicken broth, the Better Than Bouillon chicken broth. Kind of always use that because it's very concentrated and you get a lot of flavor. And it's a refrigerated product, so it lasts a long time just in the refrigerator. Okay, I'm going to crank up the heat here.
Why did you not just use straight chicken stock and not mix some with water?
I could have done that, but I like this Better Than Bouillon chicken broth. I feel like it's a more, I can control the flavor of the chicken broth. So I don't use a canned or a boxed chicken broth. You can, but I like I like to be able to control the flavor of the chicken. This is like if I made my own chicken bouillon and I just kept reducing after I'd smoked the bones and the veg and everything else, and I just trust the product. Okay. So this is going to cook for about 8 to 10 minutes, and while it's cooking, I'm going to move on to another project. Thicken up the chowder with milk. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to heat this milk up for just a minute in the microwave. If you don't have a microwave, like I don't, then you heat it up on your cooktop just regularly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slurry with half a cup of flour and this warm milk. So when it goes into the chowder, it doesn't make a god-awful mess. It doesn't make a lot of lumps, or any lumps. Fingers crossed. No lumps. Okay, now, I'm gonna wash it. That was just water in this bowl. Okay. I'm gonna pour the milk, this is a 1/4 cup of flour. I'm gonna pour that into a bowl so I can whisk it. And then I'm just gonna start adding milk, adding the warm milk. Well, of course you can use cornstarch instead of flour. If you have gluten issues, you can use cornstarch instead of flour. If you don't have any flour and you have cornstarch, you can use cornstarch instead of flour.
I like to use the
Wonder flour?
Seems like it doesn't come as easy as just regular flour.
Does it? It's a lot finer, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. And I think that's kind of, hopefully, that's kind of what this slurry does. It breaks down the flour so there's not lumps in it, which is always a good thing.
It's more or less a roux when you start doing the New Orleans Cajun.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, you're using the flour.
Yep. And this would be a roux if I was putting it into the pan with fat first. But as it is, it's just a slurry and it's not going to be cooked. So it's just going to thicken for the chowder. What do you think, Joe? Should I use 2 pans to get this thing going? Otherwise, it could get interesting. This is all I've got up here. Yeah. Because I'm so happy that I have all my friends here tonight. So I'm gonna make a double batch here. Nobody has a broccoli phobia, do they? Anybody here have broccoli phobias? You do not have. Do you have a broccoli phobia? You don't like trees? I've taken all the bark off this tree, baby. There's no bark in it. You're so cute. So cute. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm going to wait now until this comes up to a bubble. I'm also going to need more milk. Usually, in my life, I use full fat milk. But since we're lightening up these recipes, this recipe, I'm going to use 2% milk. Now, I'm going to start adding herbs to this soup. And I am so bloody lazy that I won't even take the time to take the time off. I'm just going to throw these in there, and before we eat, we'll just take them out. All the flavor will have infused, and I don't have to be I don't have to stand here for hours. This is tarragon. So that was the thyme sprigs. I just put thyme sprigs in. Put as much or as little as you like. This is a wonderful flavor with the thyme and the tarragon. Two beautiful culinary herbs that I grow in my garden. Does anyone grow tarragon besides me? You do? Yay. You guys, you do? French tarragon is when you go and when you purchase for this spring, just keep it in mind that the only good tarragon is the French tarragon to cook with. And if you buy seeds, you have to check it very carefully to make sure that it's not Russian tarragon, because it doesn't taste anything like the French tarragon. I found that out the hard way. Okay, now I'm going to start adding the flour mixture to these. And I'm probably going to have to use another, since the recipe is bigger. I might use another bunch of flour. I don't know yet.
So while we keep it on the skim milk, can we do the same thing?
You can do whatever you got. If you have, the only thing I wouldn't suggest is sweetened condensed. Other than that, anything goes.
I was thinking I could jack up the skim with sweetened condensed.
There you go. Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of the guys that we work with sent me a interesting link about sweetened condensed milk that you can make, like the carnation, you know, those sweeteners that you can put in your coffee. You can make your own using sweetened condensed milk and a flavored syrup, like from Tyranny. And it doesn't have nearly the amount of interesting elements in it that the name brand articles have. Yeah, you can put a little liquor in it and call it good. Yep.
Trade secrets.
Shh. Trade secrets. Okay. Let's see. Pardon the noise. My time, 7:10. Okay. Now these are thickening up. You see how nice and thick this is getting over here? It's getting pretty thick. And the really cool thing about this recipe, this particular recipe that has the potatoes in it, is that I like to cook a whole bunch of meals at one time and freeze them. And you can't really do that with potatoes very well. You can't freeze potatoes because there's a lot of water in them and they get really weird if you freeze them. But if you have an immersion blender, you know, or just a blender, you can blend these soups, the potato chowder, and you can pack them in freezer bags and put them in your freezer. And then they're perfect whenever they thaw out. I'm going to add some salt and pepper to these. Sorry?
You want Granny Gray, freeze cube potato.
Yeah. Yeah, the pepper and salt.